So for the past little bit, I've been attuning my ear more and more to drummers, and I decided now is the time to talk about some of my favorite drummers out there. So whether they're taking that forefront and providing that really meaty hook to get you into a song, or providing more of a breakdown later on, these are 10 of my personal favorite drummers. Now, I do need to preface this, as with all of my top 10s, these are just my personal favorite. I'm not saying these are the best by any stretch of the imagination, but I am saying these are the guys that when I see them on an album, I get very giddy and excited. I love their technique, I love their style, and I love what they've brought to the musical scene. So let's dive into my top 10 favorite drummers of all time. And starting off at number 10, we have Carey from Tool, Green Jelly, Volto, Zom, Pigface. As with a lot of drummers, and most of the drummers on this list, this guy gets around, but his most famous band is definitely Tool. I love how he is able to make so many different noises with the drums. This guy has one of those techniques that he doesn't rely too much on the snare drum, and he uses all the other things in conjunction with this song. He's able to provide that atmosphere that is needed for a lot of these very technical but also very rhythmic and very dynamic songs that Tool brings to the forefront. It makes it sound very, very simple, and that's what I love. Number 9, Blake Richardson from Between the Buried and Me and Glass Casket. With a lot of technical progressive rock music and a lot of technical metal music, any of those drummers can make it on this list. You've got to have the chops to be on that style of music. You've got to have the rhythm, you've got to have the speed, you've got to have the brutality. But what sets Blake apart is his ability to really master the slower pieces here, and especially with the jazzy sections of Between the Buried and Me. They're all over the place in terms of the soundscape, but bringing it down to that really guttural core at times, I mean, he's able to blend that brutality with the subtleness. Number 8, Martin Lopez, mainly from Opeth, from the Morning Rides to the Ghost Reverie sections. What I love about Martin, above all other drummers really on this list, is just he seems to have it. And I don't know what that it is, but it just, everything to him comes natural within his playing style. From that really brutal, heavy riffs that he puts out to those breakdown sessions that Opeth likes, much like Between the Buried and Me. And what Martin really brings is that flair of ease. Everything just sounds very easy, and everything is put perfectly in its place. There's no forcefulness here as well. There's just so many great moments that Martin brings to it that's found in the subtleties of his playing and those small flares that he gives. Number 7, Gavin Harris from Porcupine Tree, King Crimson. This guy here is a master at his craft. He's able to blend that really great jazzy feel into a lot of that heavy-like styles. Porcupine Tree has really evolved over their discography, starting off as a very ambient space rock, all the way into like a heavy riff or a heavy prog. So he's had to blend and bring in his own style within that. But what I really like is his brutality, and I don't think he gets enough credit for this. He's very well known in being a jazz drummer, but what I love is his brutality and bringing in just that oomph when the song requires. Number 6, Carl Palmer from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Now, if you want brutal and you want somebody that really set the stage for a lot of these drummers to come, Carl Palmer is one of those guys. I mean, you had to compete with such artists such as Keith Emerson, and trying to keep time to him is one heck of a feat. But half the time, I think Keith was trying to keep time with Carl. And the way that these two play amongst each other is just fantastic. I love his use of the bass drum and really abling that kind of style. And what I also love was he was one of the first people to really use synthesized noise and kind of almost turn a drum kit into a makeshift keyboard by hitting something and it creating its own synthesized sound. And I love that in Toccata, where they're not only able to bring about a whole nother sound, but a whole nother like atmosphere within the song. Number 5, Neil Peart from Rush. So no top 10 list featuring any drummers is complete without Neil Peart. Many of today's artists credit Neil Peart for being a huge influence on their drumming style, and I can totally see that. He was one of the first to really influence like that really heavy and fast-paced style. using a lot of those jazzy techniques and a lot of those flares within the drumming. A lot of that hasn't been seen before this. Most of it was just either keeping time or adding a little bit of a jazz movement in this. He was one that added a lot more of that flair, a lot of those off-time signatures within an in-time sequence, and using that is just fantastic. Even his songwriting and crafting of songs is just really kind of what sets him apart as well. Not only is he able to keep time, but also crafting songs is just fantastic. Number 4, Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater, Winery Dogs, the Neil Morse Band, Transatlantic, Flying Colors. This guy definitely gets around, and this was even when he had a full-time career with Dream Theater. Now that he's no longer tied down with Dream Theater, he has stretched his wings and just gone all over the place. Much like Neil Peart, what I love about this guy is not only his speed, not only his brutality, but definitely his songwriting as well. He has crafted some of the more beautiful songs within the Dream Theater sequence. He's able to blend in that really brutality within that metal scene without being over the top. He definitely has that showmanship, he definitely has that over-the-top style, but he's able to also bring it down a little bit and let other people shine as well. I mean, speed is one thing, but being able to play fast and quickly within a strange time signature, now that is something really to be talked about. He doesn't just rely on the snare drum as well, he's able to bring in the full set. He's able to really master what each and every little nuance of drumming takes and then incorporate that into the song as well. Number 3, Marco Minnemann from Levin, Minnemann, Rudis, Joe Satriani, Steven Wilson, The Mute Gods, The Aristocrats, another drummer that definitely gets around. He was one of the forerunners for Dream Theater's replacement of Mike Portnoy, and I feel like he should have gotten the job. Nothing against Mike Mangini, I love Mike Mangini. I feel like where Mike Mangini is definitely just a straight up studio fast drummer, Marco is more of a beautiful musician and artist when it comes to the drum kit, and you can see this on a lot of Steven Wilson albums. What he is able to do in the drums is just perfection each and every time. He is never offbeat and he has never hit a wrong beat, and whenever you think that perhaps what he's playing isn't quite right, after a couple listens, it all makes sense, and that's what I like. His playing style is much more like an abstract painting, where the more you look at it, the more you're getting out of it, and the more you're actually appreciating what he's doing. And whenever I see him play, he's always got the biggest, goofiest grin on his face because he loves what he's doing. He adds this flair of fun within everything that he does. It's really easy to play really, really quickly, really, really fast, and being like right in the forefront. But being able to subtly play a cymbal really, really just masterfully, this is where this guy really shines. Number 2.
You like Phil Collins?
I got 2 ears and a heart, don't I?
Phil Collins from Genesis, Brand X, and from Phil Collins. I love Phil Collins. I love his playing style, and unfortunately I feel like his more poppy stuff, like within his own solo career as well as more of the mainstream Genesis side of things, kind of overshadows just how great of a drummer this guy actually is. He was one of the first that I remember listening to that made me step back and be like, whoa, the drumming in this song is incredible. Like, he's no longer just keeping time, he is providing a lot of that momentum that's going forward with this song. He would take a normal, very kind of slower tune, but give it a lot of energy throughout his drumming style. Okay, so before I get to my number 1 favorite drummer of all time, I want to talk about some runner-ups. Those guys that didn't quite make the list, but ones that I do want people to recognize as amazing drummers. Bran Dahlier from Mastodon. This guy is just fantastic at that brutality style of playing. John Weathers from Gentle Giant and Man. Being able to play in a band such as Gentle Giant really, really sets him apart. Martin Axelrod from Opeth, Bloodbath, and Witchery. He is much more of a powerhouse drummer. John Theodore from Queens of the Stone Age, The Mars Volta, and One Day as a Lion. This guy, if you want a powerhouse drummer, this is the guy to go to. He is able to just dominate a song and take it over. Finally, Alan White. I love Alan White's playing, and he's added such a really interesting dynamic to the Yes discography. Okay, finally, rounding off at number 1, we have Bill Bruford from Yes and King Crimson. Now, what sets Bill Bruford apart from all the other guys on this list is his ability to make everything seem very, very simple and doing so much with so little. Unlike a lot of the artists on this list, he doesn't use all these really crazy fancy setups. He is able to master just a little bit of that drum section, and what he's able to do within the drums there is just mind-blowing and spectacular. I don't think anybody has really met the drums such as Bill Bruford even now, and some of his solo work is just breathtaking. That's really about it. Those are my top 10 with 5 kind of honorable mentions of my drummers. What did you guys think? Who was your favorite drummer on this list, as well as who's your favorite drummer of all time? Let me know by commenting below. Each artist on this list is no better or worse than anybody else. It's just who I like listening to. And also, I don't know everybody, so if you guys see somebody that's not on here that you think should have been on here, let me know by commenting below, because I don't have enough time to listen to every single band out there, so there are probably ones out there that I would love that I just haven't listened to. So that's about it. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.